welcome where your ticket is scanned. You have your nickel beer and a bag of peanuts. You're getting a massive nosebleed because you are now in the cheap seats with Brian and Jason. So, Brian, this is not our normal show today.
Nope.
This is something
Nope.
completely different that we've been talking
Yeah.
about trying to do
For a
for
long time
for a
now.
long time now. I mean, you and I are big sports fans. Well,
Yep.
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, and I really don't know so much about you anymore because you post a lot of weird memes and stuff. But
Weird. I would call them honest.
okay, I don't need you to be honest. I need you to be blindly optimistic to help me go through this really
Oh,
tough time.
you
and
want me
stuff.
to lie? Okay.
Please, please.
I mean, I
Please, I need you to lie. I need you to lie to me. All right. I need you to. I need you to be like my last 6 girlfriends. I just need you to lie to me constantly. Okay. So
the Cowboys have been doing that to you for 20 years. So I mean,
they've been leading me on for the last 20 years, and that's something I'm totally okay with. But Brian, I'm really excited about this because this
I
is
am. I'm excited.
This is a new format for us. We're gonna be talking sports, and we decided that when we were gonna do this, that we were gonna take a very analytical approach to this, and not be like how ESPN is and go into the real human piece of it and getting really into the weeds about legal problems and personal problems and all those things. We really just want to talk about the games and the sports themselves, and we want to break some of this stuff down. Yeah, we want to break some of these things down. So I'm excited about trying this out, seeing how this works. I think it's going to be great.
I think it's cool. Yep.
We got Johnny B. Good on. He says hook 'em. All right, so
Oh well, he had a good weekend then.
yeah, he had a really good weekend, and we're going to cover that. We're going to talk a little bit about the NCAA week 1. A little interesting, not really anything crazy, nothing we haven't really seen before. But I mean, it's football and it's back. Stadiums are packed. COVID super spreaders, whatever. Let's do this. I'm really excited that we're getting into a normal-ish type of season for all sports now. So this is a great time for us to kick this off and try it.
Oh yeah.
And I think, and you got the kiddie
And
committee
we have
there
a visitor.
already. Okay, there you go. So we already have. We're gonna have 2 special guests here. One of them is a fur baby, and the other one is the other one.
You knew they were gonna pop up.
Of course. And the other one is my fur baby, Brad. So he's a really good friend of mine, and he's gonna come in and bring some of his expertise because I got to tell you. Next to John Gruden, this guy knows football, and I mean he knows football, man. This guy knows football, right?
Is this your John Gruden impression?
It's a really bad one, but I've been drinking, so don't worry about it.
I think
John
little
Madden.
room for improvement. That's my worthless John Madden impression.
Well, my fantasy team, I have a draft tonight, so my one of my fantasy teams is named Madden versus Predator, and I don't really know where I came up with the name, but
That's an easy one.
But it's
Madden wins that like hands down.
yeah, because I mean
Madden just thrashes Predator. It's
He's just
simple.
gonna catch the Predator and feed him to death.
No, because he's gonna take the Predator and he's gonna put him on the other end of the 7-man sled, and he's gonna be there drive until he can't do anymore.
Okay, you know what? Now I got that picture in my head, and I got to try to draw it out for this league I have. But it's a great picture because it's Frank Caliendo, right, with his big red nose, looking all drunk and hammered, going like this with the Heisman pose. It's great, and I'm gonna absolutely destroy everybody in that league. But let's
I'll
move on.
remember that as we go. When your season's over, we're gonna readdress that.
Right,
So,
and you know what? And when we talk fantasy at the later end, I'll kind of show you a little bit about my what I'm thinking for later on tonight. So that'll be some insight. And
sounds good.
So we started a little bit late, and we already have a guest, and that doesn't happen often enough because the guests that we do have on All Bets Are Off, they're great. They bring in so much insight, and they show off their amazing talents and their ability to collect, and it's fantastic. And I have no doubt that Brad here is going to give us some good insight on the NFL season. So
Excellent.
Thursday night kicks off, and
Yep.
we're ready to rock and roll. People have their fantasy teams already set, except for me. I got one to go, and they're locked. So without further ado, I'm want to introduce everyone to my good friend Brad, and Brian is there, and I'm going to move him over because I don't know what I'm doing half the time. So
I'm still here.
hold on. How do I hold on? How do I
I
unmute him?
promise I'm here.
I know you're there. I just don't know how to unmute him. uh, how do I?
I'm really here.
Hey, Brad, see if you can unmute yourself. I don't really know what I'm. See, okay, there it is. Great, you're there. Brad, welcome.
I'm just
Hey,
gonna do
what's
it
going
this
on?
way.
I got you, Brian. I'm gonna work on you here in a second. Hey, so Brad, Brian and I are really big football fans, and we talk about it and we joke about it and we have a lot of disagreements. But what do you think from an unbiased perspective? How the NFL season is going to look this year? Who's going to be on top? Who can we expect to go to the Super Bowl? Even though it's really early to talk about it, and what players, more importantly, do you think are going to have an impact?
Yeah, man. I think one thing that people aren't really taking into consideration right now with the NFL as a whole is the amount of fans that you're going to have in the stands this year versus last year, right? Like normally you have, especially places like Seattle, Kansas City Chiefs, the Bucks, the Saints. You have a gigantic amount of influence from the crowd on how the game is played, by based on momentum and just overall communication. So last year we actually had, for the first time in the NFL, the road teams won more games than the home teams did. In the playoffs, that was even 6-6, right? So that's the number one thing that I think that people aren't really talking about right now is going from where the quarterbacks have no issues making the audibles and pointing out Mike linebacker, changing protections, whatever the case is, to where now you're going to have that influence back in there to rattle them, when the game's on the line. Um, so it's an interesting point to take into consideration. But man, when you're looking at your top teams in the NFL right now compared to last year, I really don't feel like a whole lot has changed, especially with the top 4 or 5 teams, right? Like Tampa Bay Buccaneers literally re-signed everybody that they could possibly re-sign, and did well in the draft, I think. So and they're bringing back all starters at this point, and you can say what anybody wants to about Tom Brady until his arm goes away. It's going to be there, right? And we've been predicting this gradual decline for forever, and it hasn't happened so far. I think it's going to be very rapid when it does go, but until it does, we have to consider Brady as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league right now. But the Chiefs went out and did exactly what they needed to do. They refortified that offensive line, traded for Orlando Brown Jr. out of the Ravens. So now they have their franchise cornerstone left tackle. Brought in Joe Tooney from the Patriots, who's always been a top 5 guard since he's been in the NFL. And they drafted a couple rookies who all reports so far are doing extremely well. And what was the other knock on the Chiefs, right? Their offensive line and their corners. So what did they do about that? They picked up DeAndre Baker, who was with previously the Giants and the Cardinals. He was a first-round pick. Got false accusations against him. Kind of got his name dragged through the mud a little bit. So now they have a first-round corner added to the roster, and their fourth-round corner from last year, L'Jarius Sneed, who blew up. Right, he was a fourth-round corner. Really didn't think much of it. So now they have their cover guys, and they have protection from Mahomes. So in my mind right now, unless you have a couple of injuries on the Buccaneers or the Chiefs, they're your tip-top heavyweights as far as the AFC and NFC. And unless something drastic happens, I really don't see any other scenarios as far as who I predict is going to be in the Super Bowl. I do think you have some other very talented rosters out there, and I'm going to talk about one really quick that people probably are starting to pay attention to after they destroyed the Steelers in the playoffs last year. The Browns finally have
Oh yeah.
no lie, probably a top 6, top 5 roster, top to bottom right now in the NFL. And I know they're down here at number 8 on the rankings, right? We love to play around with power rankings. That's one of our favorite things to do when we talk about the NFL. Like, where are they at in the standings, right? We're not even playing the games yet, but we want to rank them.
Just
Kevin
like in the
Stefanski,
NCAA.
yeah, right.
Yep.
So Stefanski came in and I think was the perfect offense for Baker Mayfield. Gives him plenty of options to go with the football that are very clear for him to understand. And Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are your probably best 1-2 punch on the ground that you're going to get.
No question.
Yeah, they're going to be facing a little bit more of a difficult schedule, I think. I know they didn't win the division outright, but it's going to be them for sure in the top of the AFC, along with the Bills, to go toe to toe with the Chiefs. For the Steelers and Big Ben in the division, and also the Ravens, they'll contend. But I think the Browns probably, in my opinion, are looking for the tip-top spot in the AFC North over there. So,
But do we worry about Odell Beckham? Because his productivity has kind of dropped off a little bit, and we know that he had some injuries, and
right.
he was kind of playing through some pain. But do you?
I've also heard trade rumors circulating through that as well.
Right. That was. I mean, we haven't
not that there's any shortage of trade rumors during the season, but I mean,
yeah, of course not.
Right. But do you see him being healthy? If he can be healthy, if he can maintain his health for 17 games, I mean, do you see him being a top 10 receiver right now, even a top 10?
For me, what I think is very interesting is if you pay attention to football as closely as I do, what happened when Odell Beckham went down last year for the Browns offense? Their efficiency actually improved. Baker Mayfield played better football overall because he stopped looking for Odell every time that he got the ball in his hand. So for me, if Odell is able to fit into that offense as a part, right, not the end-all, be-all, he's the only guy that I'm going to look for. But what that offense is designed to do is scheme certain person, each play. And if that guy's not there, you have reliable other options to fall back on. But he has to be a piece of that offense, not the center focal point. Because, again, everything that they do in that type of offense is based off the run, right? Like, you have a lot of wide zone teams in the NFL right now, that are all coming from the Kyle Shanahan tree. And that offense works as long as you're able to execute it. Now, I think Beckham still has all the explosiveness that he ever had. I don't think these injuries have sapped him of that. I saw him running some routes on the sidelines in preseason. The guy's zipping around like he always has been. I think that he struggled to find his place with the Browns up until this season. And if he's able to get in there and find a place, I think that he should easily be a top 10 receiver.
Okay.
I just want to tag on some stuff from our guest here. First of all, I mean, the observation on the crowd factor, excellent observation. I mean, last year it was nothing but simulated crowd noise from stereo equipment, and that's nothing close to, say, a sold out 12-man crowd at Seattle. There's definitely going to have to be some adjustments made there. Coming in with Cleveland improving, one of the things that Baker Mayfield really hasn't really had until this year is some decent coaching. There's actually going to be some solid coaching as well for Mayfield coming into this season. So really just nowhere to go but up when you think about that, and that's kind of a relief for that city, actually.
Oh yeah.
But going with Tampa Bay, not only did they sign everybody back, not only did they bring the whole team back, but at the end of, we're gonna have to live with it. We're gonna have to live with it because all this is true.
I don't have to be happy about it.
Not only did they bring 100% of the team back, but they actually added one little piece that it really didn't make a huge splash in the playoffs last year, but I think it's gonna play a huge factor. And man, sorry about this. Here we go. Hey, yeah, I had something in the eye, man. It's ridiculous. But
Well, never mind.
no, don't. I really think that Antonio Brown has had a nice, quiet camp. No incidents, nothing that I can really point to that has been an off-season problem this year.
Yeah.
Nice, quiet, behaved camp, and you've already got all these weapons for Brady beforehand. You've got two great receivers, one of them being Evans. So you're going to have AB coming out of the slot at the third spot. You're not going to be able to double everybody. And considering that Dallas's best option at corner is Trayvon Diggs, I wouldn't be surprised there's going to be a whole lot of airmail on Thursday. That's where I'll go from my piece on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's going to be too easy for them. I mean, I easily see the Patriots. God, I keep wanting to say that because I hate both of them, Brady and that team. I see Tampa Bay putting up a lot of points. I mean, like, maybe 38 plus, and Dallas maybe getting 17. Maybe
up a plethora of points.
What's that?
Could you see them putting up a plethora of points?
Yes, a plethora. Yes, I know you like to say a plethora because
I love that.
Yeah, because it's a very South Texas thing. So, but I mean, I'm gonna hope for the best, but I'm gonna expect the worst because that's just, I guess, kind of how my life has been going lately.
So I want to shift back to Brad here real quick because I have a question.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
Brad. So we have a class of rookie quarterbacks that are going to actually, a couple of them are already going to be getting significant time as starters.
Yeah.
So, probably even three of them. So, out of that group, which do you see having the better season? Do you see it being Matt Jones? Do you see it being Trevor Lawrence? Do you think that eventually Justin Fields is going to end up getting in there for Dalton? Could Trey Lance end up getting in there for Garoppolo? I actually think that Garoppolo is going to do really well this year because of that fact. But that's just me. I think that having Trevor Lance there waiting in the weeds is going to push Garoppolo to a new level. But and I know I'm missing the kid from the Jets. You're going to have to help me with. I'm spacing out. Right
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, right? I mean, out of that group, who do you think is maybe better positioned, the most talented? What's your take?
So for me, the first thing you need to do is start out and look at what position their organization has put them into from day one, right? So we always want to look at what the pedigree of the quarterback is. They have this ridiculous arm talent, their IQ's off the charts or whatever special thing that is that they have. But sometimes, even outside of quarterbacks, it really comes down to what position they're put in by the team that drafted them. I think, and unfortunately for Jason here, it's gonna be unfortunate for you to hear this, but the guy that is best set up right now to succeed and play at a high level is gonna be
Jones. I knew it. I
actually have really reasons why is I don't have any bias here. My football team is dead for the entire season, so I don't have to worry about that at this point.
Texans. Good.
Yeah, we'll get to Houston before I sign off here. My little note. But so look at what Mac Jones has to work with, right? As an offensive line that is very sturdy. They're going to be set up to run the ball well, so he's going to be protected. The thing that he has also working in his favor is Josh McDaniels. What does Josh love to do this entire time that he's been an offensive coordinator? Get the ball out quick so you don't have to worry about if the line is stable or if it's not. Have things that are going to confuse the defense and have mismatched football. That's what they've done the entire time that they've been in New England. It works. The only time that it doesn't work is when you have the quarterback that cannot process that information fast enough and get the ball out accurately, which is why you have guys like Brian Hoyer who understand the offense, but they can't process the information fast enough and throw accurately enough to be successful. So I think the only downfall that Mac Jones might have this year is he's going to show you all those things that I just said as he did in the preseason. I don't know if the Patriots really have enough pass catchers for him to be able to sustain the success that he needs to. I mean, we all need to be very aware at this point that the Patriots have been horrendous at drafting offensive players for a while now, which is why they went out and spent $150 million on the first day of free agency to restock their team because they've missed so badly. So, yeah, they got a couple of guys, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry at tight end. If they can both stay healthy, that'll be great safety valves for Mac Jones. Receivers outside, I'm not really too thrilled about them, going crazy this year. But that's where I think of Mac Jones is at. Number two, probably be surprising because people probably think I'm going to say Trey Lance or Trevor Lawrence, but I'm not. I'm actually going to say Zach Wilson. And the reason why is watching Zach Wilson play is not what you think you would see out of a rookie quarterback. The guy is extremely poised. Everything he does is smooth. There's no panic in anything that he does. He knows where he's going with the football, and he has the athletic traits and ability to get out of this bad situation if he needs to. And if you haven't really paid attention to him throw, go watch him just throw a couple of passes in the preseason that he had. Any ball he throws is effortless. It's perfect. So I think that he is set up for success in a couple different ways. They brought in I can't remember the guy's name, but he was under Kyle Shanahan. I think he's the head coach from the Packers, his brother, and it's slipping my brain right now. But anyway, same style of offense, right? The wide zone offense to get him out on the edges and be able to move the quarterback around, have those quick divine reads to get to, and have a monster running game to support him. So I'm looking at Zach Wilson to be probably my most successful guy this year, second most successful guy this year. And if anybody is into Tony Romo predictions, his crystal ball opened up already in this offseason / preseason, and he says that he sees a little Mahomes in Wilson, and he doesn't put the on anybody else. So those are his words, right? But I see what he's talking about. The guy has all the talent in the world to get it done. As far as Trey Lance out there with the 49ers, I think that you're going to see him in some packages, but I also think you saw exactly why he's not ready to play full time. Just over his starts in the preseason, he had a considerable amount of trouble reading the field, getting the ball out on time. He did have the most wide receiver drops in the entire preseason, so that didn't help, completion percentage or his numbers at all. But just from what I saw, needs more time to develop to be able to see the field and not be crutch, for Kyle Shanahan to run the offense that he wants to run. Jimmy Garoppolo has been that guy that's got the quick release, be able to see the field, get the ball out. Problem is, if you go back to the Super Bowl, Jimmy G does not hit those deep shots very well. And we all know if he would have hit that deep pass against the Chiefs, we might be looking at Jimmy Garoppolo as a Super Bowl champion instead of the Kansas City Chiefs. But
good point.
Trevor Lawrence, I really don't have any faith in Urban Meyer at this point to jump up to the NFL level and field an offense that's beneficial for Trevor Lawrence. I don't think that he's going to be very well set up for success at this point. They might prove me wrong, and they might have a completely different system around Trevor Lawrence in the regular season. But I watched Trevor Lawrence all the way up until, I think, only 2 drives against the Cowboys, not throw a single touchdown pass, not get the ball down the field in any capacity, and struggle just to get off his first and second read. So I think long way to go for him. As far as any other rookie quarterbacks, I really don't see him really doing much this year outside of those top 2 guys. Justin Fields, if he does play, he's going to be running for his life the entire season. Yes, he has 4 wheels and he can do it. That doesn't mean he's going to be in a position to succeed. Matt Nagy came from the Andy Reid coaching tree. We all thought he was going to have a fantastic offense in Chicago, right? Because people that coach under Andy Reid should be able to do something similar. I've seen nothing that shows me he's anywhere near as creative as Andy Reid or to develop a quarterback. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky was run out of town to go be the Bills' backup quarterback, only to torch the Bears in the preseason just to show them how bad their offensive coaching was in the first place.
Yep, he lit him up all right.
Yeah, so I don't think I do think that you're going to see Justin Fields no later than week 3, in my opinion, because for whatever reason, Andy Dalton has just looked like toast ever since he got back with the Cowboys, or not back with the Cowboys, but got with them ever since he left Cincinnati. it doesn't look like the man has a whole lot of good football left in him. So I don't think you'll see him past week 3 unless they just think that Justin Fields cannot handle the playbook. So you want to put those in stone, I'm telling you, Mac Jones and Zach Wilson will be fighting for your offensive rookie of the year if they stay healthy this season.
Nice. Well, while we're on the topic of QBs, I got three more real quick.
Yeah.
So I think you got a couple interesting stories in Los Angeles and Indianapolis.
Right.
And then, of course, Dallas.
Yep.
So is this, do you feel, I mean, because I think it is. Do you feel that this is Stafford's and Wentz's last stand, so to speak, in their new spots, in their new digs? And then you got Dak Prescott now back, the Dak attack. But with the Dak attack returning, he says he's ready to go 100%. He's want to get out there. But the fact remains is that he has not had one snap since his ankle snapped. I hated to put it that way, but he hasn't had a snap since then.
Yeah.
And he's going to be without maybe at least, for sure he's out one Pro Bowl lineman. He could be out two. But I really feel that this is going to be Stafford's last chance, Wentz's last chance to get something done for sure. They're really getting to the twilight of their career, and if they don't get something done in a hurry, it's game over for them. But I mean,
Yeah.
where do you see Stafford going? Where do you see Wentz going? And how do you feel about Dak returning?
Yes, I'll start with Dak. I think Dak has been playing enough football consistently throughout his life that he's not really going to have too much struggle to come out there and be firing off the ball accurately. I think he's one of those guys that he'll have to get into the flow of the game early, in my opinion. If I was the offensive coordinator over there, I forget his name, Kellen
Moore.
Yeah, Kellen Moore. There you go. Almost said Kellen Mond. That's backup quarterback in Minnesota. Yeah. I think he should get Dak some throws early, easy ones, right? Get a couple easy completions. I don't think that you're going to have many of those against Tampa Bay, so I think they should be quick. If they're only for 3 or 4 yards, so be it, right? Like that's okay. Just get into a rhythm early and not have to be worried about Dak running around, getting pushed off his spot before he gets a couple of completions. If we look at the landscape of what the Cowboys are, they have one of the highest offensive payrolls in football. That means that they have some of the best, or they should have some of the best offensive players in the league because you're paying them as such. So if they aren't, then you have a problem there. I think that
you got $90 million over there at halfback. You got
exactly.
Well, now you got 140 at quarterback. That probably could have been negotiated differently, but hey, it's over. So
yeah. So I mean, you have a top 6, top 7 left tackle as far as salary goes. Same thing for your running back. Same thing for Amari Cooper. Same thing for your quarterback. I don't know if they've had to pay Leo Collins yet, but if they haven't, that'll be coming soon. So you're very, very heavy as far as your salaries go. So I'm going through that to explain, like, they better be good. Those 3 wide receivers that you have Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup. In my opinion, you have, if not the best, tied for the best wide receiver core in the NFL.
Very likely. I'm hard pressed to disagree. So.
Yeah. So for me, it's 1A and 1B between receiver cores of Tampa Bay and Dallas Cowboys because they have 1, 2, and 3 who can all beat you one-on-one if they need to. So yeah, like Dak should be fine as long as he does not lose both tackles again, they'll be okay. Now, if midway through the season, Tyron Smith gets hurt again, like he's been doing the past, 3 seasons now, they're going to have problems. He can get by with missing Zach Martin for a game, missing, Connor, what's his name?
Lyle Collins.
Yeah.
Potentially Lyle Collins.
They haven't really. Their interior offensive lineman. They've gotten rid of so many guys.
Oh, yeah.
Connor McGovern, I know, is one. I think Connor Williams is the other one. Their interior offensive lineman. Those guys, okay, fine. You can miss a Zach Martin for a game. You cannot afford to miss Tyron Smith, Leo Collins at any point this season, especially when you're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, they're going to tee off the defensive line. They're too stacked. So I think Dak will be fine.
Add on to that game, by the way, added note, Ndamukong Suh's out for COVID. So
they reinstated him. Nope, he's back.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He's back?
They activated him the same day that they deactivated Zach Martin. So
great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Your whirlwind of events there did not turn out so well. So there's still a very, very, very outside chance that Zach Martin can play in that game. He is vaccinated. He has to test negative twice in a 48-hour period, which is still capable of doing so.
We'll see. He has to do it by tomorrow.
Yeah.
24 hours before kickoff, right? So he has to do it by 8 p.m. tomorrow. He has to test negative.
I didn't see anything today, so I doubt we'll hear about it until the morning. But
wow.
He's had symptoms. They're very mild. So, I mean, if it's me, I'm betting that he's not playing. But anyway, I think Dak should have a great bounce back season. I mean,
okay.
I like to go off what teams tell you, right? Sorry, what teams show you, not what they tell you. They can tell you whatever they want all day long. The Cowboys just went out and told you exactly what their problems were. It's defense. They drafted nothing but defense, right? They told you that they're not happy with their linebackers. Why? Because they drafted a linebacker, remember, their first overall pick, and they drafted another one, Jabril Cox, out of LSU later in the draft.
A linebacker who did not play football last year.
What?
He did not play football because of COVID concerns on it. It was his decision, but he did not play football.
Which is okay, because Micah Parsons is an absolute monster. He's going to be great.
I agree. I don't think that's going to be too much of a factor with Parsons.
No. He was absolutely demolishing guys in the preseason, right? But my point being is they're telling you they know what their issues are, and they're attempting to fix them. It might take a year for them to mature to do so, but if you can get Dak and the Cowboys into an offense that doesn't take him passing for 500 yards in 2 games in a row and overtime games, to like they did last season, you'll see a completely different team. Because the Cowboys, what would they do Dak's rookie season? They played at least average defense, and they ran the ball extremely well. What happened? They won 13 games, went to the playoffs. They could do the same thing this year if Dan Quinn can at least get those guys to field an average or above average defense. Now, if they get DeMarcus Lawrence having 17 sacks like he had a couple years ago, and they can at least halfway cover guys. Hey,
and if Godfrey can stay healthy and out of trouble,
look out! You're talking about a good team here. So that's my take on Dak. I think he'll be great. Just got to keep the tackles healthy. For Stafford, I in no way, shape, or form think this is his last stand at all.
No.
I think
wow.
Stafford has been surrounded by just horrible management, horrible coaching for the majority of his career. He did at one point have a little bit there. I can't remember the guy's name, but he had a decent coach. And as soon as they fired him, they haven't won games since then. But I think he was the last coach to take him to the playoffs. Somebody can go look in the NFL history books for that for me and tell me later. But I think for the first time, you're going to see Stafford that has weapons, that has an offensive coach who knows exactly what he needs to do to utilize Stafford. And be able to consistently trust Stafford to make the throws that Jared Goff could not. Yes, Jared Goff would have some games, like we remember the Kansas City Chiefs game where I think they either tied or scored the most damn points in NFL history. And, Jared Goff can make those throws sometimes. But Stafford is a much more consistent quarterback and has a generational arm. We're talking about a guy who was doing no-look passes in the NFL before Patrick Mahomes ever went to Texas Tech. Like, that's the type of guy that Stafford is, and he hasn't gotten that recognition because he's been playing in Detroit, where people literally retire early so they don't have to play for them anymore. We've seen this happen. It's happened for more than decades now, and it's the same thing. And I don't know if the Motor City Madman, Dan Campbell, a former NFL tight end, is going to lead them to the promised land as their new coach, but we'll see. For the Rams, they are very top heavy as far as their talent, right? Their talent is amazing, but their depth, very, very worrisome. So if they stay healthy, you're looking at the Rams right back where they were just a few years ago. I mean, their defense is insanity at this point. I mean, Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, and they have solid role players around those guys. So Stafford stays healthy, we're going to be talking about, is this the Matt Stafford that we should have been seeing this entire time? That guy can make any throw on the football field that you ask him to. Carson, if he cannot succeed this year, I don't see him succeeding in the NFL, because the only coach that we've seen him succeed with is Frank Reich. Frank Reich is the one that had him at an MVP level with the Eagles the year that they won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. That was Frank Reich calling the offense. And for those of us who want to keep our notes over here, when Frank Reich left the Eagles, that's when that offense stopped working. What happened? We ended up seeing the coach there get fired, who's now unemployed, right? So I think Frank Reich was the guy who was leading the charge on keeping Carson Wentz coached the way that he should have been, and keeping him from the bad habits that he has. I think Carson Wentz is one of those guys that has all the talent in the world to be a successful quarterback. I think you are seeing that he has injury issues, which he didn't have prior to tearing his ACL, which ended his MVP season. But ever since then, he's had all kinds of problems. So, he just had a surgery that was threatening to put him out for week 1 of the season. So are we seeing a guy that is not going to be able to stay healthy to actually play a season? We don't know yet. But if he can't succeed with Frank Reich and that Colts offensive line, which is a top 5 offensive line in football, they've been proving that for the last couple seasons, then he's not going to succeed. It's just not going to happen.
Can't even finish the season. That'd be,
Yeah.
I don't think he's finished the season in quite a while.
Yeah, exactly. That's the question. Hey, can this guy consistently play without getting injured? I don't know. The same question that you got to ask for the rest of the Colts team right now. Those guys have been having all kinds of issues, and we haven't even made it to the season yet. Right? They're waiting on their left tackle to get healthy. They're going to start a left tackle that the Texans traded to the Dolphins way back when they decided to trade 2 first-round picks for Laramie Tunsil. Nobody even knows the guy's name. I do, because he was involved in that trade, Julian Davenport. But he can't play very well, is my point. So
it's as simple as that, huh? He just can't play. All right.
You could be looking at a Colts team that's solid in the AFC to maybe in the upper tier of the AFC. You could be looking at a Colts team that is horrible, not fighting anywhere, has a solid team, but quarterback play is just a huge problem. We'll see what happens, but I'm definitely not going to be predicting the Colts to make a playoff run, in my rankings this year.
Gotcha.
Well, hey Brad, thanks. We took up a lot of your time, and I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're really busy up there in Virginia, but we definitely like to have you back on.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah, we'd like to have, definitely like to talk more NFL, because I really don't know anybody other than Brian here that knows more about football. And this is great because you just sit there and watch ESPN and everything else, and go on the blog.
Don't just sit here and watch ESPN all day. Let's clarify that. I do work.
Okay. When you are not working, when you are not actively engaged, you are doing this as your hobby, and you love doing it. Well, Brad, thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
This was great. This is great insight. This is great for our first show here, because this is real. What we're trying to do here is get real insight on the game. But we'll let you go, and we'll say goodnight. And we only got a little bit more time left, Brian, but that's okay. We'll finish off with some NCAA. Brad, take care, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Yeah, guys.
Thank you, Brad.
Appreciate the time, man. Be on here anytime you guys want me. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Have a
Excellent.
good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was excellent.
Yeah, that was fantastic. It was great having him on. I've known Brad since 2014, I believe. Yeah, when I first moved down
okay.
here. Yeah, we were both down at Mar4 South together. So yeah, we've been to some football games, and we've talked football, and he helped me out with a draft on Sunday night. But tonight I'm going to do it myself for this other league that I'm doing. But this is
what time
great.
Is your draft?
Well, I say tonight, but I really mean tomorrow morning at 4 a.m.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they're trying to because he's trying to be slick because they want to do auto draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I don't do auto draft.
yeah, but
Take
so
it from me
okay,
right
so
now.
I just found this out. Trying to do auto draft, and I'm like, okay, you can't automatically just do auto draft, right? You have to
No, because you have to put everyone in your queue.
exactly.
You have to,
So what they
and
did,
you have to have plan Bs and plan Cs for those picks as well.
right?
Otherwise, it's just going to go to the next rated player.
Exactly. So what they did is they made each round or everybody only has 15 seconds to pick. So that's okay because what I'm going to do as soon as we're done here is I'm going on and I'm going to make my queue because I can rack and stack already, and it'll go
Okay.
based off of that. So I'm going to go. I have my queue ready to rock and roll, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to absolutely destroy everybody in this league, like I'm going to do in my other league. So it's going to be great. But anyways, you want to talk a little NC2A, the big week?
Yeah, we can do a little bit of a whirlwind around the world with that, huh?
Yeah,
Go through some key scores.
yeah,
Maybe not everything, but maybe some of the standout games.
Yeah, and what I want to start off with is I want to start off with Alabama and Miami. Reason being is because I'm an alumnus from the University of Miami, and that was my one obligatory game that I had to go for them because I am a Notre Dame fan. And at the very, very, very beginning, it didn't look like Miami was going to really get anything going in that game. It just did not look good for the turnover chain.
It was an offensive mess from the first quarter.
It really was, and it really surprised me that they were even ranked number 14 going into that game.
Were they ranked?
They were ranked number 14. They were ranked 14.
Oh, so they were.
They were ranked. They were ranked 14.
Wow, they sure didn't look like a ranked team.
They did not look like a ranked team. And Alabama went out there, and their quarterback, this kid, this is his first year as a starter, went out there and had the game of his life, of course, against the Hurricanes. But Alabama did what Alabama does, and they went out there and they executed. And they executed and they killed him. So I know you wanted to talk a little bit about Georgia Clemson because that was kind of an offensive disappointment and
huge offensive disappointment. But I mean, Clemson didn't even score a touchdown, and I
did not.
I can't really think back when when they didn't score a touchdown. I mean, we have to for the next show we got to look that up as to how many consecutive quarters or something because that's got to be something. But for them not to score a TD, that was eye-opening.
Yeah, it really was. It was 0-0, I think, going close into halftime. I don't think it was 0-0 at halftime, but yeah, it was just,
Georgia just wore them down.
Yeah, and Georgia went
just flat out. Georgia just flat out took it to another level of physicality and just wore them down.
And didn't Georgia move up 2 spots? They moved up.
Yep, they're number 2.
Or they moved up 3 spots now, so they're the number 2. They're the number 2 ranked team in the nation.
Yep, I was just going to look up the new AP 25.
Yeah, with that performance, it's incredible. So yeah, the AP poll right now is
Georgia's number 2, Ohio State's 3,
Oklahoma 4,
Sooners got to 4.
Mm-hmm. And
Aggies moved up to 5.
5. Yeah, your Aggies.
Wow, Clemson plummeted to 6.
And it surprises me by not even scoring a touchdown, and losing to the number 5 team ranked team in the nation at the time. They only dropped to 6. They should not be in the top 10, especially after not scoring a touchdown.
I can see that.
They did not demonstrate. Notre Dame demonstrated more offensive ability than Clemson did. Even though Notre Dame laid an egg in the fourth quarter and snuck away with that win, they should not have won that game. They snuck away with it.
There's something I want to bring up with that.
Okay.
So, Florida State's quarterback
Mm-hmm.
goes down.
Right.
And then
Well,
in
his helmet gets knocked out. He doesn't go down. His
oh, is
helmet
that
just
what
got
it
knocked out.
was?
Yeah, his helmet
what?
just came off. So he
But
had to
I
come
mean,
out of the game.
but they kept him out the rest of the game.
Right, because Milton McKenzie, right? The
Milton
Cinderella
McKenzie.
story, right? The Cinderella story came in and he played well. He played very well for someone who
He
hasn't
didn't just
played
play well. He played off the charts.
Yeah,
On his first drive, he went 4 for 4.
Yeah, he hasn't played in over 1,000 days.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like something I've never seen. Now, I don't know. I'm not trying to say that was that designed.
Well,
I don't know.
I think that Florida State had every intention of bringing Milton McKenzie into the game, into the mix at some point. And I think they saw the opportunity because I don't know the kid's name. He when he had to come out because his helmet popped off, you have to exit the game for a play. And they throw this, hey, here's an opportunity to throw in Milton McKenzie. Well, he completed it. I mean, his first throw, it was a completion. Okay, keep going. And they almost scored. So he did well. He did very, very well for someone who has not played football in 1,000 games and had a catastrophic knee injury where doctors didn't even believe
I heard
that
it was worse than Alex Smith's injury. Is what I heard.
Yes, it was worse than Alex Smith because he actually, Alex Smith had several infections after his knee surgery. So did Milton McKenzie, but I think he had an additional one. So he had several infections that kind of set you back when you're rehabbing that knee. It set him back about 6 months. But seeing him go in there and play, and he ran a couple too. It wasn't just sitting in the pocket. No, he ran. He got out of the pocket a little bit and got some yards. So it was a good story. It was great to see him come back, even though he transferred from Florida Central. I don't remember which one. UCF.
Yeah,
UCF, Central Florida.
Yeah,
and went over to Florida. Just went up the road to Florida State. It's a very positive comeback story because of the nature of his injury, and to come back is nothing short of not only just dedication but of medicine in itself. So kudos to him, kudos to the training staff, kudos to the doctors and the nurses that got him to that. So being a big Notre Dame fan as I am, did I want to see Milton McKenzie win that game? Yes, a part of me did. It really did. It really did. Not just because of what he went through, but because he was playing well and Notre Dame was laying an egg because they didn't deserve to win that game, and they did. They won because their kicker missed. It's not like Notre Dame really did anything. I mean, they got the ball back. They ran it 3 times, and they actually lost yardage. They didn't even get into the middle of the field. They didn't even get in between the hash marks to give their kicker the best vantage to get that field goal, and they got it. They got it off of a miracle. So, with that being said, Notre Dame is now the number 8 ranked team in the nation, whereas
they moved
Clemson,
up a spot from 9.
They moved up one spot. Even with all of that offensive and defensive performance that they showed in 3 quarters, not 4. They showed it in 3. And Clemson went to just 6. And they didn't even score a touchdown. There is something inherently flawed with that. But, hey, we're just a sports show.
Something flawed with the AP 25? Get out of here. No, never. It's been a system
flawed.
of perfection since
very
who knows
flawed.
when.
It's very flawed. But this is what we're looking at.
Is McKenzie Florida State starter against Jackson State?
I don't know. I don't know. Is he? Did they say anything?
I would think that he'd have to be. I mean, they got Jackson State on Saturday, and then they got Wake Forest after that. I would say he'd have to be. Yeah, I don't know how you wouldn't do it.
You had a lot of conference games, and then you brought him in as a transfer. I mean, and he played well. He played very well. You give him You give him an entire game. You give him that whole game against Notre Dame, and I think we see a completely different ball game. I think we do.
Now, I'd like to see Penn State's schedule because, man, if there's a sleeper team, I'm gonna say it's Penn State.
Apparently Penn State doesn't exist. Not
Oh, is that right?
according to the AP.
And Nittany Lions don't exist.
They do, but according to, hold on, I had them right here. Here we go, Penn State.
See if I can.
Penn State. Let's see their schedule. It looks it doesn't.
Michaela Chester here.
Don't care. I can't go. I can't go to their schedule on this right now. But it's
Bringing it up. Let's see. Okay, so they'll have Ball State on Saturday.
okay.
Then they'll have Auburn on the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I'm sorry to say, it's a lackluster schedule for the most part.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's Auburn's a big game, of course. Ball State, though, no. Then it's Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got Indiana. Then they got Iowa. Then they got Illinois. Now, October 30th, there's a big one for you there.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State. The Ohio State.
The Ohio State.
Then
Yes.
they'll have Michigan on November 13th. So I would say if they remain undefeated and if they were to take out both Michigan and Ohio State, they may get, even with that though, that's unfortunate. Even with that, that probably wouldn't be enough to get them into the playoff.
To get them into the top four, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
No,
They might be the outside looking out at 5 or 6.
Right.
So,
I
and that's
wanna,
really unfortunate, but that's just how it works out.
it
Because
is.
that strength of schedule is very poor. Outside of the Buckeyes and the Wolverines, there's not really much there.
Now
And Auburn.
let's also take a look here because I have a little bit of bias because I am a Notre Dame fan. But let's look at this schedule, if that's what you want to call that, right? They play Toledo, Purdue, Wisconsin, Cincinnati, Va-Tech, USC like they always do, North Carolina, Navy, and I think Navy has a good chance of beating them, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Stanford. Okay? This is not a schedule you put together to put yourself in a competitive position to be in the top four.
Are they back to being an independent team, or are they with the ACC like they were last year?
They were supposed to have moved already to the ACC. So,
well, they were in the ACC last year because of COVID.
Yeah, right. I thought that they were they were moving to ACC permanently. I don't know if it was after this year or next year.
So now they're back to independent.
It might be. It might be. I got to look into that.
That schedule's really weak.
It's a very weak schedule, and it's not something that you put together hoping that you can win all of these games and impress the selection committee to be put into the college football playoff.
Quite frankly, if they didn't go undefeated with that schedule, it'd be embarrassing.
Right. Now, in contrast, let's take a look at let's say Georgia's schedule, right? Let's look at
they're in the SEC, so that I would venture to say even Texas A&M's schedule is much tougher than Notre Dame's.
Oh, no doubt. But look at these teams that they got to play. They had to start off with Clemson. They got to go to Auburn. They have to play Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, right? And then Georgia Tech. Charleston, Southern, I mean, this is not a very tough schedule, but it's much tougher than Notre Dame's.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
And if Georgia wins all of these games, they stay number 2. They may jump to number 1 if Alabama loses somehow. Okay? So,
Alabama could lose to A&M.
They could. If they did, I would become the biggest A&M fan. It would be
the game's at Kyle Field, so I mean,
you have the 12th man.
You have to factor that in. You have to. I mean, Kyle Field's not an easy place to play. It just has that reputation. This is Nick Saban. This is Alabama, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm telling you, if there were 2 teams in the SEC, well, I don't think the Florida Gators are not in the SEC, right?
The Gators?
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah.
They're not in the SEC. Aren't they in the SEC?
Yeah, they're in the SEC.
Okay, they're okay. So if there's two teams, I think in the SEC that could potentially
Mm-hmm.
take Alabama out,
Mm-hmm.
I would look at Florida and A&M, and they're both on Alabama's schedule.
Okay. Yeah, and and Alabama. Okay, but again, all right. Let's look at this crap that they do. Okay, because they're playing Mercer next week.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
All right.
What's that? I mean, is there a mercy rule for that?
Playing,
I mean, because that's stupid.
Yeah, they're playing Mercer, and then in November they're playing New Mexico State. Okay, you got a couple cupcake games. I got it. But then look who they got to play. You got to play.
How they do that.
You got to play Florida, Mississippi, A&M, Mississippi State, Tennessee, LSU, Arkansas, and then you cap off with the Iron Bowl at Auburn. Okay.
Well, and you got to look at LSU though. LSU wasn't all that impressive to open up, so they got upset by UCLA by a lot.
Right, and UCLA has been bad for a really long time, but you build these. I mean, these schedules are there already because they're in the SEC, and you have to maintain. You have to play your schedule, right? You have to play your your division within the SEC. But these are always really competitive. These are just big games. It doesn't matter who you're playing, but it does matter where you're playing. So they're going to Auburn to play this game, and and you have seen some upsets. You have seen some upsets with Alabama in Auburn. Remember the field goal that was missed and it was ran back for a touchdown that won the game? That was, I don't remember what year it was. That was several years ago, but that was big. I mean, these upsets can happen, and if anybody can beat them, it'll be Auburn or A&M. So they could lose twice. You could have a 2-loss Alabama. That would probably still be number 4 because that's just how it works. So that's just it. But Brian, it's already 10:10. I think we just got really excited with this, but we can talk about our fantasy preview or fantasy updates next time because then I'll already be drafted and ready to rock and roll, and we can kind of go into that a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good.
But hey, man, this was a great show. I think we got something going. So we'll do this. We'll do All Fets Are Off. We'll do this, and then
we'll go a week on, a week off. I think it's
week on, a week off. I think it's a good. I think it's good to switch it up a little bit. It gives us more time to kind of go into some things, and I think it improves the quality of the cheap seats because we'll have a lot more to talk about. We're gonna have 2 weeks of football to talk about right now, and that's okay because some weeks can be nothing will happen really, and then you can have that 1 week we're just gonna be like, oh my god, everybody lost. What are we doing with the What are we doing with the rankings here? Yep. NFL, we're just going to keep talking and talking and talking because unlike NCAA football, the NFL it just matters by winning. Just win. That's it. Just keep winning and you'll be fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you win. Just win.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby. That's it. Win your division. Win your division. Go to the playoffs. There you go. But okay, right. So we'll end it here. I know you wanted to do something for the ending, right?
I want to thank everyone that was able to tune in, that did tune in. Thank you, and just remember that when you're here with us, the content is never cheap, only the seats.
Love it. All right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for the cheap seats. We'll see you guys next week for All Fets Are Off.